Hello everyone, welcome to the Berkcast, the How to Train Your Dragon podcast. I'm your host HC, and with me are my co-hosts Rush
Hello, I'm Rush.
and Voyger.
Hello, I'm Voyger.
Okay, so as you can tell, we are big How to Train Your Dragon fans, and we decided let's make a podcast out of it because why not? Everything has a podcast now. So this is the first episode, and we thought maybe we'll introduce you guys to our retrospectives with the franchise, how we got into it. So, any of you want to start?
Voyager, you can go first.
I volunteer as tribute. Okay.
Different
So
book, different franchise.
sorry. So,
But okay, go first.
I think, well, no, I know actually, because it's pretty much a fact that I saw the movies, How to Train Your Dragon, and from there, I picked up the books. But the movies really inspired me, and I kept with it. So I've seen the show, read the books, seen the movies, waiting for the graphic novel. There you go.
Okay, Rush, do you want to tell us your story with it?
Yeah, it was actually How to Train Your Dragon 2. I can't really remember if I saw the first How to Train Your Dragon before that, but I went to the movies with my girlfriend, saw it, and at the time I didn't really know what I wanted to do with computer science because that's what I'm currently pursuing in my degree, and I thought the graphics on that were incredible. So if I could help make an engine for that, I would do it. And I just kept watching the movie over and over just to look at it, and then I got entranced just in the whole franchise. Went back to watch the first movie, watched all the TV shows. I haven't read any of the books yet, but I'm probably going to save that for another time. So yeah, just got into it by getting dragged to a movie by your girlfriend.
Typical love story. And for me, I have some sort of a moral, if you will, because I saw the trailer for the first movie. I had no clue that there were any books, and I saw the trailer before I went to see Avatar, and I was sure I was going to hate this movie. As weird as it may sound now, it didn't grab me, but one day it came out. I saw that it had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I decided, okay, let's check this one out. I went in, I loved it, and the moral of the story is don't judge a book by its cover.
Or a movie by its trailer,
And
because
yep.
How to Train Your Dragon is both books and movies.
Yeah, in terms of the books, I only read the first one. Until recently, I believe it was the only one that was released where I live. I happened to see another one at the bookstore lately. I didn't pick it up because budget, and it was the second one, so no consistency. But yeah, I saw the first one. I loved it. Saw the shorts, loved them. The TV show, I didn't like at first, but it grew over me, and the second movie is wow.
Indeed. We can only hope the third movie will get on that. But that is a topic for another podcast in the future.
Another episode indeed. So, let me say it this way. The first time you watch the movie, Rush, for you it will be How to Train Your Dragon 2, because that's one you started with. Do you remember your reactions to stuff? What were you thinking throughout the watching process?
I just was amazed with, I mean, you look at it and you think, oh, it's animation, it's just a kid's movie, because my girlfriend loves Disney movies and all things princess and singing, and I'm like, it's there. I knew that DreamWorks was always there with their 3D animation, which I thought was pretty cool. But seeing that movie, just how the lights, the scenes were done, and then just the characters in there, I thought it was incredible. I won't give away spoilers for those who haven't seen the second movie yet, for those who are just listening to the first time. But Yeah, certain. I didn't since it was the first time seeing it. I wasn't too connected with the characters, but I got very connected after that. And then going on to watch the first movie after that, or once I was in the fandom watching the first movie, I actually noticed that it wasn't just the second movie being great with graphics. It was the first movie that was incredible with their scenes, and they improved upon it with new technology.
Voyger, you want to add anything?
Sure. I mean, I saw the first movie, uh, and it was kind of around the time when I was just figuring out exactly, kind of, I don't know, how it was going to fit into the world is a bit of an exaggeration, but it was kind of like a defining time, I guess. And seeing that movie, it really inspired me artistically. I started drawing. Since I was a beginner and I started teaching myself, I would take Dragon's fan art that people had done and I would like sketch it. I would look at it and I would sketch fan art that was already there and then show my friends and compare them and be like, look, I'm almost as good as that person on DeviantArt kind of thing. And it was, yeah, so it inspired me in a number of ways. Yeah, and I'm going to be going off to college soon to study animation, so there you go.
Awesome. Good luck with that. One thing I remember about watching it in theaters, Voyager, have you seen it in 3D when it was in theaters?
Which one?
The first one.
No, I didn't.
Oh, so I saw the first one in 3D, and this was around the time when 3D was sort of new. We were sort of getting there. Again, it was a bit after Avatar came out, which was the big 3D movie. And at the time I was thinking, except Avatar, nobody did this right, the 3D. And then I see this movie and I was like, oh my god, this looks amazing. More people should do what they did in this movie. That the flying scene, the test flight scene where Hiccup and Toothless tried a new fin, that was amazing. Even in 2D it looks breathtaking, but in 3D it's like, oh my god.
Right.
Yeah, I think that test flight scene, it probably, anybody who wanted to fly as a kid, definitely, or any kid, really, they had their feelings brought up of wanting to fly again. And not just in a plane, but be able to fly on the backs of dragons.
Yep.
I still do.
One thing I'm kind of bummed about is that IMAX theaters haven't really been a thing around here when the first movie came out, so it was just 3D, no IMAX, which I think could have helped the experience, but it was still breathtaking. And at this scene I was realizing, okay, I made a huge mistake judging it by the trailer.
Yeah, going back and looking at the trailers, I actually do it every now and then just to get a feel for how they were compared to the movie, and it's kind of, they really didn't. You kind of had a right to say or to think differently about the movie because those trailers had like nothing. Really didn't show you what the movie was going to be about. It kind of shows that they were going to be on dragons, like the group of dragons were going to be together the whole movie, or the group of kids were going to be with the dragons the whole movie. And then looking at the second movie trailer, it makes it seem like, Valka's the enemy for the movie as well as Drago. Like, you have two enemies, but, obviously we don't in the movie.
Yeah, I think there are pros and cons to that. For the fans who are super into finding out spoilers and stuff, that kind of sparked their interest. But for the people who didn't really know all that much, like a mom just looking to take her kids out, to have fun on a summer afternoon, it was a little bit misleading. So I think there are like two sides to that coin.
Yep, because I think it's more not popular. It's more common where I live, where people don't really look at trailers. They just go in to the theater and there's like iPads with summaries for all the movies that are playing, and they just decide that at the cash register what to see. So if you're a general going audience and you see like a boy and his dragon or something, that's really not going to hook you, and that's a big problem that thankfully this movie managed to overcome because a lot of people saw it. We got a sequel and a franchise out of it. But I mean, on first glance, this movie could have been doomed, and the trailer that I saw personally, because you know the scene, of course you know, the scene where Hiccup introduces Toothless to Astrid and vice versa.
Yeah.
And so there's the moment where it goes, da da da, we're dead. That part in the trailer, I don't know, maybe it was the editing, maybe it was something, but I just thought, oh my god, this is going to suck. And after I saw the movie, I was like, oh my god, that's actually one of my favorite moments.
Yes, it is mine, personally, just because Hiccup's sarcasm, I understand it a little too much.
I like Hiccup's monologue
This-
towards the beginning, the one where he imitates his father.
Second movie or first movie?
The first one. I could
Where he's
quote it,
talking to
but,
Gobber.
yeah.
Oh man, at my old job when my boss had to be replaced, and like the previous one was like a giant man and everything, and his replacement was this scrawny man, not bigger than me, and all I thought was the old boss was excuse me, I think you bought me the wrong replacement. I asked for a large beefy guy with I forgot the line.
An
Damn
extra
it.
large boy with
But
beefy
you
arms,
get-
extra guts and glory on the side. This is the talking fish bone.
Fishbone. You
Yeah.
see, it's
Yeah,
not so much what
exactly.
you look like, it's what's inside of you can't
Aside.
stand. Thank you for
Yeah.
summing that up.
Yep.
Yep, amazing. Also, I love that point where at the beginning where Stoic tells Hiccup, "I have a village to feed," and he's like, "Well, between you and me, everyone can use a little less feeding."
Right.
Yeah, Hiccup's, they definitely nailed Hiccup's sarcastic personality, and they've kept it the same, and I think that's one of the funnier things. I mean, it's a good franchise, and one thing that I actually find is pretty interesting is that, you know, when you say DreamWorks movie, people think, oh, you know, inappropriate jokes, they're just trying to have a goofy leading character who just cracks jokes all the time. You know, Kung Fu Panda is one of the greater examples of that, but it's actually pretty serious compared to their other movies. And
Yeah,
I think
because
that's
Kung
what
Fu
gets
Panda
people-
also, it also knows how to tell a story and balance it, as opposed to something like, let's say, have you seen Shark Tale?
Yes, that was definitely full of jokes and stuff. And, you know, Shrek 2, they rely more on the fact that he's an ogre, so he's gross, and they play off of that with all the, you know, the fart jokes, standard
but-
DreamWorks.
Yeah, but Shrek 2 is funny. Shark Tale, not so much.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not funny. I'm just saying that, you know, when the reason why I think How to Train Your Dragon has the older audience is because of the fact that it does incorporate. It actually has, you know, relatable stuff. It's not all jokes that, well, they are funny. You know, it's just stuff that's relatable. How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Yeah, actually, go.
How to Train Your Dragon 2, you know, the most, I'd say the largest theme that most movies use, what How to Train Your Dragon uses, who am I, at the age of 20, when everybody is basically asking, who am I? And
Yeah.
that's what probably caught a lot of the older audience, and me as well.
Yep, same here. Going back to watching the first movie for the first time, I won't get into spoilers because Rush didn't before, but at the end of the movie, Hiccup is left without something. And the point where that happened, the entire theater I was in gasped. Because, let's face it, how many, not just animated movies, how many movies do that?
Not many. That's another thing that is awesome about the How to Train Your Dragon. DreamWorks, they're always, you know, edgy, but they're not that type of edgy. And then what happens in the second movie as well? I mean, you have stuff like that in other movies, but it's more of a like, oh, this is, Disney has their stock. Let's see, what does Disney has, the parents killed or something at the beginning of the movie, but it's the beginning of the movie. You're like, oh, this is just who they are.
The darker they went with it was Mufasa, because you saw the body.
Yeah.
Everything else is just the parent
Bambi.
is either killed off screen or is that from the very beginning.
Yeah, but the thing is, they always had a good relationship with their parents, and it's just changing who they are, before How to Train Your Dragon and How to Train Your Dragon 2, it's he has something, and it changes who he is, and then in How to Train Your Dragon 2, he actually has, everything's getting better, and he thinks that it can't get any worse, and it things go south.
Yep.
So it's just kind of a reminder that, it's not all beginning of life that this happens. It can happen when you're older too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and to add to that, the first time I saw How to Train Your Dragon 2, I was looking forward to this one because I knew I'm not going to make the same mistake. I'm going to say this one as well. And it reaches that point. That point where you're like, did they just do that? Did they just use this character to do this thing to that character?
Mm-hmm.
And that one, you can ask my friends, they can testify for that. I jumped back in my seat when that happened.
Right.
Yeah, I was shocked that they did that, and that was the first time I was in part of the franchise too when I saw the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you poor soul.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying, Rush, kind of about how Disney movies, so they lose someone at the beginning of the movie, but if it's someone they were very close to. I think another brave thing that Dragons has done is kind of allow a main character to have or be kind of estranged from his parents, because in the beginning, in the first movie, Hiccup and Stoic are not very on good terms, and it's just something that's very different. And then in the second movie, we meet his mother, and they're not friends either; they're strangers. Just really interesting to see.
You're very right. Yeah, and it's kind of funny how the roles switch for you. You guys know what I mean, and those who have seen the movie will understand what I mean when I say roles switched in How to Train Your Dragon 2 with the parents. But yeah.
Indeed. Actually, if I may change the subject to the show, when it was announced, I was surprised that they got all the cast members from the movie that they have gotten, because before that, in terms of DreamWorks shows, we had the Penguins of Madagascar and the Kung Fu Panda show.
Yeah.
And both of them maybe had like 2 voice actors from the actual movie. And then you get to How to Train Your Dragon, and Hiccup is the same guy, is the same actor. Astrid is the same
They have
actress.
I think they have 4. Hiccup,
4.
Astrid, Fish Legs, and Tough Nut. Those 4 are the same. And the funny thing is, like, I don't know about Astrid so much, but you have to get Hiccup and Tough Nut, because those two, T.J. Miller, who voices Tough Nut, and Jay Baruchel, who voices Hiccup, those guys are too distinct to where I don't think you can find another person like that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there's, on the off chance Jay Baruchel isn't doing the voice of Hiccup in all the non-canonical stuff, there's a voice actor called James Arnold Taylor, and he can mimic his voice to a T.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah.
Is he TV though, or is he a movie?
As far as I'm aware, online games and the How to Train Your Dragon 2 game.
Oh, he does the games.
Not the first. I think Jay Baruchel was in the first one, but don't quote me on that. And
I won't.
I think maybe for pickup lines, if Jay is not available to do maybe an ooh, and all of the sound effects, get him.
Okay, yeah, well then, I mean, that is but T.J. Miller. I'll stand behind T.J. Miller. I don't know anybody who
Yeah,
can do a
and
gruff
nobody
voice
can
like
do
that.
that voice.
Nobody can do that. But it is interesting how they got them to do that. I know Jay and TJ do they do live action TV. I know that much.
Yeah.
America does. She does. I think like Broadway shows.
She
or
got
something?
famous for, I believe her rise to fame, I guess you can say, was Ugly Betty.
Yeah.
That's...
And then
I have no idea about Fish Legs.
Fish Legs
Christopher
is
Meatballs, I don't know
he
how
does,
to pronounce it.
he's actually he knows Jay Baruchel, and actually Jonah Hill, who does Snotlout in the movies. Not
They
Zach
were in
Perlman.
the Superbad.
Yeah, they all do stuff with Jonah. They do those bad movies with Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
I'm not saying bad as
actually,
yeah.
T.J. Miller and Jay Baruchel actually were in a live-action movie called She's Out of Your League.
Yes, they were.
Have you seen that?
I haven't seen the whole thing, but I know I watch a lot of just clips of movies, and so I know a lot of just he's in this and she's in that stuff.
And can we forget the fact that in the show Stoic is voiced by the one and only Nolan North.
Yes.
AKA every character that exists right now, I guess.
Yeah.
If anyone...
If you play a video game, he will be in there most likely.
Yep. And one last thing, I mentioned the video games. I haven't played the How to Train Your Dragon games except for this iPhone game. I don't even remember what it's called. But in the game that's based on the first movie, I think it acts as a sequel, but Hiccup has something in it that he loses in the movie.
Oh, really? They forgot about that?
Apparently they did.
That's unfortunate.
Really?
Well, how much did they know? That's another thing.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing. You gotta hope that and this was one of my biggest concerns when I heard they were doing the TV show is is it the same people, not voice actors, but is it like the same group of people doing it so they know what like to keep canon, or is it just going to be like a throwaway sideshow? And obviously everything was attempted canon, right? Obviously from what I understand in this Race to the Edge, as opposed to Defenders of Berk and Riders of Berk, that they actually talked with Dean DeBlois, the director of the first and second movie, just to make sure that they're not going to cover anything that may be in the movie.
They also talked to him about the first two seasons, but let's just say, because this is pretty much a subject to another episode in itself, but just to go over it, there's in the episode of the show where Stoic meets his first dragon, Tornado, there's a point where Hiccup tells him, you need to befriend the dragon. So let's just say, what's the first thing you ever said to Gabber? And Stoic goes, that's my wife.
Yeah.
And then you get to the movie where we found out that Gabber knew Stoic at the age of 20. And according to some official sources, Stoic is 10 years older than Valka, which means Valka may have been a child bride.
Yeah, and then there's also until the Burning Midnight short graphic novel part came out, we actually had no idea how they actually met. And so until we saw that they met on a field of battle, from what I understand, and obviously, like you say, it's just you can't really go for these things. At the time, I'm pretty sure they didn't know. Hiccup lost his mom, he'll never see her again, and then they come back and say, hey, we can bring back his mom, and they're like, crap, well, how do we do this? It's like, well, it's just a TV show, it was just an episode, we can just say that was just an accident. right?
Although, wasn't there an episode where they actually hint to that? Where they found a figure that she made hiccup or something?
That was when he was a baby, though.
Yeah, but... True.
They found the figure because he threw it off. They were on a fishing trip and he threw it off the boat, and so they just found it eventually.
Yeah,
Like a
right.
message in a bottle.
Voyger, do you have anything to say? You've been quiet.
Well, I've just kind of been listening to you guys. You're good at banter. I don't know. I think something interesting that you brought up, HC, about the child bride thing is that if you kind of take into account Viking culture with a pinch of salt, because, if there's Vikings and dragons, there's bound to be some fantasy somewhere. In Viking culture, it was super common for, teenage girls to be married to older men because girls weren't really... I don't know to what extent, because I'm not an expert, but they were considered to some extent property, kind of as it was in that time. So they were...
I believe 16 or maybe 15 was the age, but don't quote me on that.
Right, so it's just that, if we wanted to add an explanation in there, we could just say, history says that they were married very young.
History also says Vikings were very, very nasty people and would not be very kid-friendly movie if they did the same things. But
yeah, we haven't seen Stoic run. What's the word?
Pillaging.
We haven't seen him. Yeah, we haven't seen them go to other islands and try to, steal stuff.
Although the funny thing about that is that we probably won't ever do a fan fiction one, but just to bring it up, like a lot of times they actually say like a short explanation, like that they were dealing with the dragon problem, because they said, I do remember in the movie, it's 300 years, right, that they've been dealing with the dragons.
Yeah,
that's why they haven't been
years.
pillaging and stuff, because they've been dealing with the dragons. That's kind of like a funny way of saying, we've been too busy saving ourselves.
Right.
That's a good point. Very good point.
Yeah, I always thought that was funny how they tie that in.
Yeah, not confirmed, but it's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Voyger, I have a question. Since Rush began his roots in the fandom, I guess you can say, with How to Train Your Dragon 2, and we both saw the first one when it was in theaters. Do you remember your reaction when the first trailer for 2 came out?
I remember being super critical of it. I was like, I don't know why even. Maybe it's just because I had grown to love the first movie so much and I was so attached to it. I was really surprised to see how they changed the characters. And I was just kind of like, what? Hiccup's growing up? How could they do this? How could they do any of this?
How dare you make him hot?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that was
because
funny.
Apparently that's the first reaction every girl had when she saw the trailer. Whoa.
Yeah, I saw several, did we just Neville Longbottom an animated character? I'm like, what? I don't
Yeah, exactly.
Be careful of who you make fun of in middle school.
I just remember it was late at night when this trailer first popped out. It was late at night and I just was about to go to sleep, and for some reason I clicked my subscription button on YouTube, and all of a sudden I see How to Train Your Dragon 2 official teaser trailer. All of a sudden, all the tiredness I had gone. I'm like, sleep is for the weak. And then I pressed it. I was blown away. The animation was awesome. It was. I just replayed it a few times. I believe I went to sleep an hour after I intended.
You know what made me want to see the first one? It was because the Olympics were going on at the time, and they did those tiny little promotional trailers where they did little sketches.
Oh yeah, right. I remember this.
I loved those so much, and I think that's really what made me say, "Oh my gosh, we should probably go see that." And Yeah, I remember those really clearly. I remember the one with the bobsled, I think, the most. Like, it was an
Yeah.
actual human.
They're on YouTube, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
they are.
But okay,
They are quite funny.
because yeah, I remember seeing them once or twice. I don't know.
You know, if with the date of the third movie getting moved up, it will. I believe it will be right after the end of the 2018 Winter Olympics as well.
Oh.
Oh,
Well, I see some more
Well.
trailers in the possible future.
isn't that great timing?
Yeah, it's. I mean, they've done it every. It's been a 4-year thing. Although the How to Train Your Dragon 2 came out late May, I believe, if I remember correctly.
It was
It
June,
was
I think.
June.
June. Yeah, so even later.
And yeah, and the third one is May 2018 as of now, right?
Yeah, so it'll be after, a little bit after, but they can still. Hey, I mean, since that's when the movie comes out, trailers or little teasers come before, right?
Mm-hmm. They totally have
Yeah.
time.
The Winter Olympics are scheduled to what month?
February, March. That time.
February. So there might be, but it could also be too early. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. And we have plenty to wait.
Yes.
Tell me about it. Do you
Hype
guys
train.
look at the counter at the bottom of the Grapevine page every day?
Every day.
Yep.
Not really. Yes, but when I do go on, I do see it.
Makes me
It
sad.
tortures me.
See like
It does.
700.
Hey, at least we have a definite
Just
date.
think-
That's what I like the most about it.
Very true.
Yep, and also we have one more season of the TV show and hopefully some graphic novels when they'll decide on a date for it.
Yeah. I do believe it will come after the final season of Race to the Edge. That's probably
Makes sense.
Yeah, it would make sense too, since the graphic novel The Serpent's Heir, available in your local store. No, I'm just kidding. It will, from what I understand, take place immediately after the end of How to Train Your Dragon 2, from what I remember them talking about.
Yes.
But then again, they also
Actually,
talked about
Burning
the date.
Night, I believe Burning Night is apart from the actual novel. Like when it will come out, it will have the Burning Midnight part in it. It seemed like it started in the middle and ended in the middle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I understand,
was
and
a
that would be
sneak peek.
that'd be interesting if it was.
But hey, we have to wait. And yeah, like you said, all about the hype train.
Mm-hmm.
At least we're not the Sherlock fandom, you know?
Oh, don't even get me started.
Poor people.
Poor me.
How much long is between each season? A year?
Yes. Maybe a little bit more.
Ouch.
I
Not
mean,
pretty. Not
to
pretty.
be honest, if you want quality, you can't just keep pushing out seasons, because the longer a TV show goes on, and this could even happen for How to Train Your Dragon, the longer it goes on, obviously, the less ideas you're gonna have for TV. All the comedy shows that go on, the first season, or sometimes the second season is when it starts getting good, because the first season, they didn't really have the feel for it just yet. But then if you get to like the 10th, the 12th, the 13th, God, the 15th season, it's like, okay,
Oh, hi me.
these shows,
Oh, hi the
what the heck?
Simpsons. Family Guy.
yeah, so, that's just
Although the Simpsons are still funny here and there. I'll
Yeah.
give them that.
I think they're good at following what's going on and then making jokes of it. Yeah, so they follow that, and then like you could kind of say that I think that's kind of the reason why Defenders of Berk and Writers of Berk, the TV shows, weren't as best as they could be. One, they were on Cartoon Network, so they were for kids. Like the actual no real plot, just make a few jokes here and there. They actually did have some funny jokes. I'll give them that. And then
Although, wasn't it at the same time where Cartoon Network started rising up again? Wasn't it at the same time as Adventure Time?
Yes, it was. But what I'm getting at is that they were having an episode like every week, and then the second season came out. It only took them, I think, 2 months to start the second season. But animation definitely, you could tell it faltered because they were just going with episodes. So that's kind of why you'll get some episodes that are just downright bad, and then some episodes that are actually pretty good. That's what I'm saying happens the longer a TV show goes on. Defenders of Berks and Riders of Berk suffered from that because they were doing it extremely fast.
It's kind of interesting too.
I believe the first season suffered more because the first few episodes I wasn't convinced at all. I don't know why I even kept going. I'm glad I did because the show got better, but the first few episodes I was like, ugh, this is nothing like the movie.
And it's kind of interesting too, talking about the show going on too long. I don't know if this is particularly related to how fast they produced the episodes this season of Race to the Edge, or how long it's been going on. I saw a few people were pretty critical of the last episode of this season, and they didn't really like the new tribe or anything like that. So
the only thing that bothered me is the cliffhanger. Because the reasoning for it felt off. This is a subject for a later episode, but we can mention it now. Something about it felt forced. You know what I mean?
It was definitely the tension. They had, I think most people will agree that the leader of the tribe was just too indecisive. I think that's kind of what nobody really liked, that she kept going back and forth between I'll accept you and then I hate you and then I'll accept you and then okay, you're
it's
dead.
like she has a multiple personality disorder.
Yeah, exactly. But kind of to continue, the reason why I was going to bring that up, speaking of the season Race to the Edge, they actually, since they're not doing an episode every week, they do with Netflix, they do the 13 and then the season. I feel like they actually take their time. They obviously do I think they do all the storyboard work. I think it's actually an ongoing process, because from what I remember, voice recording is usually done within the first month or two of the process, and then the rest is just editing and stuff. And then when they get done with the editing, then they start the next season storyboard. So that's kind of how it's done, and I think.
It's different studios, obviously, but have you seen the show The Legend of Korra?
Yep.
Yes.
So I believe the creators of that show said that they had post-production for season 2, production of season 3, and pre-production for season 4 all at the same time.
Yeah, well,
so
if there was one time, I can't remember where I saw this, or if I just made up in my head. I guess the viewers eventually can prove me wrong or right. But I remember that they actually, they start that it takes usually 6 months for just to have one episode in full. And since they have just multiple happening at the same time, they have to do it all in 6 months, or it's 7 months or something. So I believe that.
I believe, don't quote me on that the average time of creating an episode for animated TV show stands between 9 to 10 months.
Yeah. So, like you said with The Legend of Korra, this one, especially since this is 3D animation as well. Although they did, if you guys noticed in one episode in season 3, they did forget Stormfly's spines on her head.
Oh really? I didn't see that.
You gotta look closely. It's a very quick scene, but I've been looking for that because they did that in Riders of Berk, the very first season. I can't remember which episode. I think it was What Flies Beneath, when they first meet whatever it's called, Whispering Death. Yes, when they first meet the first Whispering Death, the one that Toothless has an issue with. But
Yep.
So yeah,
and it was never built upon.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
I think about it.
But so yeah, these seasons, obviously, I think they've been working really hard on them. I can tell, animation wise and stuff. And so, I think the only reason why they're going to 4 seasons is because they started, and it's catching up with them. If you can, because you can, the animation was still pretty top notch, but if you forget stuff like that, that's like an editor issue, and when that means that I feel that shows that they were sped up on the, they were kind of pushed a little quickly. But I feel like since this is the last season coming up, allegedly last season, right?
Yep.
That it is very
Let's hope
possible.
they won't end that one on a cliffhanger.
Oh God, yeah. And I hope allegedly it's wrong.
Although, to their credit, they can't fall under the season 2 of an animated show being the last season that ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. But the thing, hey, this is on Netflix though. Netflix doesn't pull the plug because Netflix knows how to base their shows off ratings and how to train.
And thank Thor for that.
Yeah, Netflix is if they were a network, they'd be one of the smartest networks because they have very, very good decision making. But that being said, I think since this is going to be the allegedly last season, I'd be okay if they extended the date a little bit later, just so they can make sure everything's solid. They have everything they need. If it comes out again, 2 days before the last year's date, which is what happened to this one, then hey, by all means, I'll still watch it. I may complain about it, but I'll still watch it and I'll still like it in the end.
Yeah, because essentially we are all fans. We will watch it anyway.
Got that right.
Okay, so I believe that's it for our retrospectives with the franchise. Anything you want to add?
I do have something. Right, it's going to be
Okay.
a randomish question. But what other fandom or game or, whatever it is, are you obsessed with How to Train Your Dragon as of late? It can be something that you think is, it's a trend, I'll put it down in a few days or whatever, but I'd like to know.
You can go first, Cohen.
Okay. Do you mean something that I would like to cross over with How to Train Your Dragon?
No.
It's just anything, because you can be in multiple
something
fandoms.
I like is okay, fine. So everybody that knows me knows that I'm a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan.
Interesting.
So and before anyone flames that, I am not one of those idiots that complain about green eyes or the voice actors or something. I try to enjoy the franchise for what it is. Some of the games are not so good, but for the most part, I love this character. He's been my idol since childhood, and he's up there along with How to Train Your Dragon. Other franchises, I like a lot of Disney movies, and let me think. I'm a big fan of the Ninja Turtles. That's something. That's pretty much it. The stuff that comes to mind now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. When you said games, I do play a lot of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and I like to watch all the streams. There's actually a very, very big tournament finals going on in 41 minutes, and it's on TV, which is great because
Ooh.
when I started playing this, it's like, oh, it's just a game, and this is one of the first times I believe a game is on network television, any massive online game. So I think it's a pretty big step for them. As opposed to fandoms, I actually, while waiting the month before Race to the Edge Season 3 came out, I started watching Young Justice, and
Cool.
got instantly depressed because I knew it was canceled after 2 seasons.
I hate that.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Reminds me, actually, my favorite superhero is Spider-Man, and my favorite cartoon starring him was Spectacular Spider-Man. Same disappointment. Season 2 ends on a cliffhanger. Never brought up again. It was cancelled, and we got the bad Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah, and I think the only really other I wouldn't really know if I call it fandom, but I do really enjoy Steven Universe. When I watch it, I don't really watch too much TV anymore because I'm working a lot. But if I do ever turn on the TV and it's on, I will watch it.
That's cool.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of good
Voyger?
things about it.
It is really interesting. It has a great story. Like, it has an amazing story for a kids' TV show like that. I would never have expected
I
something.
have two friends that are obsessed with it.
Yeah, at first I had the same thing with Adventure Time. I still like it because it's funny and it's random, but I feel like there's just too much going on, and they're probably never going to explain what really happens in that show. They leave all these little hints that, oh, we're going to explain this eventually, but I feel like they never will. But that's just my 2 cents on that. Voyager, what else are you in?
As of late, I have been playing Overwatch pretty much nonstop.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
It's kind of like consumed me a little bit. I play McCree a lot.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, it's high noon. There you go. As far as
It
other
is.
things
Okay,
go,
yeah.
It
Awesome.
is high noon.
as far as other things go, I don't know. I'd like to kind of explore a bit and watch a lot of everything because, I don't know, I was never really encouraged by my family or anything to like play games or read comic books or anything. So I've done a lot of exploring by myself. Watched Sherlock, Supernatural, played the Zelda games and really enjoyed them.
Those are very good. For watching,
Yeah.
I will. Actually, sorry, for comics, I will recommend X-Men. I used to read them all the time. But I haven't read them any recently, even with all the movies coming out, right? I used to read them all the time. X-Men, great thing. Games, I used to only play, like, Spider-Man 2 for the PS2.
Hell yeah.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 for the original Xbox was the greatest. Still is better than the third Battlefront. And stuff like that. So I really wouldn't recommend any games to you. I think it's best that you experience your own game that you want to play, find out what you like, and really you shouldn't let anybody tell you, oh, that game's bad, you should play a different game. Although I will say Overwatch is great.
It's so much fun. I picked it up because it just
on
looks so
that
colorful
note-
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that note, another game I really like since childhood, Rayman. I love the Rayman games. They're awesome.
Haven't played too many of those. I think I only played one and not the full thing. And it was because I was at a friend's house. But
And
Yeah.
it's also extremely hard.
yeah, definitely not one of the ones that you can learn in a day.
Just wait until you get to some of the later levels. Don't say I didn't warn you.
I will not. I will not. But yeah. So, like dragons, we're not the only fandom out there. It's great to experience other fandoms, learn which ones are your favorite, and as Hiccup says, or as Hiccup does in How to Train Your Dragon 2, it's great to find out who you really are, what you enjoy, and what you don't enjoy, and just find a group of people that will accept you for who you are.
Yep,
We
exactly.
accept you for listening to our podcast, as you are a fan
Yep.
of How to Train Your Dragon, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yep, every How to Train Your Dragon fan is welcome to listen to us. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next episode. So, I was HC,
I am Rush.
And I am Voyager.
and this has been
See
the
you next time.
Berkcast. See ya guys next time.
Bye.